Hi friends, welcome to Beautifully Bookish Bethany. Today I have my December book haul for you. I'm really excited. I have so many amazing books that came in this month, so I'm excited to share them with you. One thing I am gonna note is because I'm trying to get a bunch of my filming done early, I am doing this before Christmas, so I'll probably add in a clip at some point where I'll share the things that I get for Christmas between now and when this video goes live. But I'm trying to get a bunch of videos filmed today, so we're gonna do this now and I have a lot of exciting books to share. Let's begin with my pre-orders because I have quite a few this month and they are very romance heavy. First up, I had to get the new traditionally published version of Ice Planet Barbarians by Ruby Dixon. I love this new cover. I've already read this as an ebook, but I wanted to own a physical copy, so I picked that up. If you have somehow managed to not hear about this series, it is sci-fi romance with blue alien dudes, and it's fun. It's campy. I liked it. I also pre-ordered The Righteous by Renee Audier, and I loved this. I had an e-arc of it, so I did read it before it was published. I gave it 5 stars, and I just love this entire series. Very excited for book 4 next year to see where it goes. If you're looking for a historical paranormal romance with a lot of casual diversity, I think it's a great series to try out. I also pre-ordered The Toy King by Adriana Herrera. This is a holiday romance novella that is set in the same world as the short story she released last year called Her Night with Santa. In this one, the hero is one of the Magi who helps with delivering toys, and I'm sure it's gonna be fun and steamy and Christmassy. So I might even read this by the end of the year. There was a really exciting holiday romance anthology that came out that I had to pick up a copy of. This is Amor Actually. It's a bunch of stories, I think 9 stories from different authors, all set around the same Noche Buena party, which happens Christmas Eve. They're all Latinx romance authors. Adriana Herrera, Alexis Daria, Diana Munoz Stewart, Mia Sosa, Priscilla Oliveras, Sabrina Sol, and Zoe Castile are contributing. It says Noche Buena, 1 party, 9 happily ever afters, Christmas Eve in New York City when anything is possible. I'm so excited for this. I love a lot of the authors. I like the concept and had to pick it up. Another romance release that I bought because of Mara at Books Like Whoa, who was raving about this, is The Love Con by Ceresia Glass. This sounds incredible. It's got a fat heroine and fake dating. She's entering a cosplay competition and she's supposed to have a significant other to join her in the last round. So she asks her longtime best friend to be her fake boyfriend, but he's actually always had a thing for her and thinks maybe this is his chance. I have heard nothing but good things about this. I feel like it will be right up my alley and I'm so happy to have it. My final pre-order is this bind up of the Far Sector comics by N.K. Jemisin. N.K. Jemisin is one of my all-time favorite authors and she's been writing this comic. I don't really know much of anything about it except that it's sci-fi and it's from an author I love, and they just released a bind up of the single issue comics, so very excited to have that. This is another one that might go on my last minute end of year TBR. Then I have a stack of books that I picked up from eBay after being on a live stream that reminded me of how much I loved this series. I'm trying to remember what it was. I think it might have been a live stream I did with some of my patrons, but we started talking about this old fantasy series that was published in like the 70s and 80s that I had read a bunch of in college and over the years have not kept all of the books, and so I went looking for some of them because they're out of print and found a pretty good deal on several of them. So these are some of the Durani books by Katherine Kurtz. If you're unfamiliar with them, they're old school high fantasy, and I guess in her real life she studied the medieval times, and so a lot of that makes its way in, but there's magic and I just love these. So I have Durani Rising, and I love these old covers, like they're so great. Durani Checkmate, Camber of Culdee, Hi Durani. Oh, does this come with okay. It came with 2 copies of Hi Durani. It was a good deal on all of them though. They're hard to find because they're out of print, so it's fine. So I have 2 different covers of Hi Durani and Durani Checkmate. So yeah, I'm excited to have those. I kind of want to go back and reread them and track down more of the books because I just remember loving them so much, and that conversation was like, oh yeah, those were so good This year I would love to go back and read some of these classics of fantasy from female authors that don't get talked about a lot, and these were great. Next, let's talk about books that were sent to me for review this month because I have some really good ones. First up is a novella from Tor.com. This is Servant Mage by Kate Elliott. I love Kate Elliott. She's really underappreciated, and this is a fantasy novella that sounds great that's coming out in January. Felion is a lamplighter, a low-level mage with the ability to create and sustain light by tapping into the demonic energy that permeates her bones. When a group of rebel monarchists free her from indentured servitude, she's forced to confront what she thought she knew about the world and the way it works. And when she gets caught up in a conspiracy to kill the latest royal baby and wipe out the monarchist movement for good, Felion must choose between duty and survival. Luckily, she has more than just her lamplighting skills up her sleeve. It sounds great. It's a little novella. I love Tor.com novellas, and I'm excited to try this. Entangled Publishing kindly sent me a finished copy of A Scoundrel of Her Own by Stacey Reed, which I'm pretty excited to have. I think I'm probably going to try to get to this in January. One of my favorite books this year was The Wicked Marquess, which was the last book in the series from Stacey Reed, and so I will definitely read more from her. This one sounds interesting. Lady Ophelia Darby exists in two worlds. In one, she is the impudent, willful daughter of a powerful marquess and darling of the ton. In the other, she moves through the underworld's shadows as a songstress, Lady Starlight, protected only by the notoriously wealthy scoundrel Devlin Byrne. But when she stumbles upon her beloved father's darkest secrets, the line between her two worlds quickly blurs. Now she needs the help of the one man a lady should never trust. This sounds really interesting. I feel like it's going to be great. I enjoyed the book that I read from her previously, so thank you to Entangled Publishing for that. Then a highly anticipated release from Tor. I think this is coming out in March. Yeah, March is The Bone Orchard by Sarah Mueller. I love this cover, and the premise is really interesting. This is definitely a genre blend. It's like fantasy horror, and it's a debut novel. Welcome to Orchard House, where the wealthy and influential men of Borengard come to dine, drink, play cards, and talk politics. It's where they come to visit with Mistress Charm and those birthed from the fruit of an orchard of bone trees grown in vats, made to serve her and the needs of her guests. But Mistress Charm herself is bound, a mind lock implanted in her skull to harness her power and ensure her obedience. Now, the very emperor who destroyed her people and bound her to his will promises her freedom if she can solve a murder. His own. So he wants her to discover which of his sons betrayed him. It looks great. Then Penguin Teens sent me an arc of Hotel Magnifique by Emily J. Taylor. This is coming out in April, and it also sounds fantastic. Greetings, traveler. Welcome to the legendary Hotel Magnifique. Your trip to elsewhere begins now. Our offerings include an abundance of delightful enchantments and dangerous secrets, a vexingly handsome doorman with a mysterious past, a ruthless maître d'hôtel intent on obtaining power at any cost, a dark conspiracy at the heart of the world's most famous magical hotel, and one girl determined to tear it all down for the sake of saving her sister. Prepare to depart by midnight. It sounds really intriguing. Very excited for it, so thank you to Penguin Teen. And then lastly for review, Quirk Books sent me this box, which is very exciting, promoting the second book in a series that I read book one of last year and really loved. Got a cover redesign, which is fun. So I will show you what's in here. So it came with one of these color changing pens, which I definitely used in my childhood, a ring pop, and a cute little mini composition notebook. What do those all have in common? Well, they're reminiscent of the 90s, and the book I read last year and loved is This Is Not the Just Show by Anna Carey. It's a YA thriller that I think is really good. I loved this a lot. The year is 1998. Titanic just won 6 Oscars, boy bands are dominating MTV's airwaves, and like any other teenager, Jess Flynn is just trying to survive high school. Between a crush on her childhood best friend, overprotective parents, and her sister's worsening health, the only constant is her hometown of Swickley, which feels smaller by the day. Jess is resigned to small-town life until the day she discovers a mysterious device with an Apple logo, causing her to question everything and everyone she's ever known. As more cracks appear in Jess's world, she faces a choice. Can she live the rest of her life knowing it's a lie, or should she risk everything for the truth? So I read this at the end of last year and I absolutely loved it. It's gotten a cover redesign, and book 2 is coming out May 24th. This Is Not the Real World by Anna Carey, which is the sequel. I really liked book 1. I'm excited to see where book 2 goes, so thank you to Quirk Books for the lovely 90s package. Next, let's talk about the other books that I bought for myself, and then I have some early holiday gifts to share. I picked up a few books over Black Friday. One thing is that Libra FM was running a deal where if you spent at least, I think, like $15 or $20 at a local indie bookstore, you could get a free audiobook from them, from a selection that they had, which I was like, yes, sounds great. So I went to the Strand, my local indie bookstore, and I picked up The Edge of Worlds by Martha Wells. This is a used book. It was like $7.50, so it's pretty inexpensive, and I've been wanting to try Martha Wells's fantasy. This is book 2 in the series, so I'm gonna have to track down book 1, but I have really loved the Murderbot Diaries from her, and I've heard great things about her earlier fantasy work, so picked that up. And then I also got a copy of Sharp Ends by Joe Abercrombie, because my podcast that I co-host with Leanna from Leanna's Library and Izzy from Happy for Now is going to be reading all of the First Law World books next year, and so I'm slowly collecting them. You're going to see another one on this list as well, but this is a short story collection set in that world. And in case you're wondering which audiobook I selected for my freebie, I got Cultish, which I've heard great things about and it sounds really interesting. Then Barnes & Noble does this thing on Black Friday where they'll have signed copies of books, which is kind of fun. So I picked one of those up. I got The Wisdom of Crowds by Joe Abercrombie. This is the final book in the First Law universe and it's signed by the author, and he's from the UK, so it's not like I can easily get my hands on a signed copy, so yay, excited to have that. Then I met up with my friend Jocelyn over at Yogi with a Book, and we of course went book shopping. I feel like I'm forgetting something that I picked up while I was hanging out with her. I know one of the books that I got, but I thought I got another one, and it is not in my stack, so I'm not sure what happened with that. But I did pick up The Hollow Places by T. Kingfisher. I have had this on my radar for quite a while. I've heard really good things about it. It's like a fantasy horror blend, more horror than fantasy, but I really want to read it. I've heard great things. It says, newly divorced and living back at home in rural North Carolina, Kara is helping out her ailing, eccentric Uncle Earl at his house, which doubles as a tourist hotspot, the Glory to God Museum of Natural Wonders, Curiosities, and Taxidermy. While Kara is closing up one night, she discovers a mysterious hole in the drywall along one of the museum's overstuffed hallways of oddities, an opening that impossibly leads Kara and her new friend Simon to a sprawling area that simply can't be part of North Carolina's plane of existence. So there's like bizarre realities and things. It sounds really interesting. I feel like I'm gonna love it, so I picked that up and we had a great time hanging out. 2 more books that I picked up this month. One of them is actually because my kids' school has a parent group for racial justice and stuff, and they're starting a book club in the new year, and the book they're going to be reading is a book that was already on my radar anyway, so I was like, this is cool, great opportunity. So I bought An Indigenous People's History of the United States for Young People by Roxanne Dunbar Ortiz. So this is like a YA version of Indigenous People's History of the United States, which I've heard fantastic things about, and it's just a little more accessible, I guess. So yeah, excited to read that. I think I'm going to be starting it in January for this parent book club thing. Then I finally decided to pick up a copy of a book that I really love but hadn't actually purchased for myself yet. This is Unconquerable Sun by Kate Elliott. I found the UK cover and I really like the UK cover actually better than the US cover. I feel like it does a better job of giving the vibe of it. I loved this book so much. It was one of my favorite books last year, very much underhyped and didn't get the buzz it deserved, and I'm so excited to finally be getting book 2 in the series. If you haven't heard of it, it's this super fast-paced epic sci-fi book that is a gender-flipped Alexander the Great in space. It's phenomenal. So yeah, I wanted to own a copy. Lastly, I've got a few holiday gifts to share from some kind people who sent me things early. Again, I'll put in a clip after this where I'll share anything that came in after that or things from Christmas Day, because I know my husband probably bought me some books. This is gonna be gifts I have right now. So one of my brothers, like, I was kind of floored, honestly, sent me this gorgeous book that's actually fairly rare and vintage. It's this beautiful illustrated edition of Beauty and the Beast, the original fairy tale that has been translated from the French. This was published in 1963, and the illustrations are just gorgeous. So yeah. So this was just such a cool, thoughtful gift, and I wasn't expecting it, so I just wanted to share. I love Beauty and the Beast, and I think he knows this was always one of my favorites, and yeah, that was like so kind and thoughtful and generous. I was not expecting that. So thank you if you're watching this. I don't know if he's watching this. The rest are from some of my wonderful booktube friends. Amanda from the Naughty Librarian gave me these cool bookends. You can see one of them on my shelf here. They're really pretty, so thank you, Amanda. I like them. They do add a little pizzazz to my shelves, which is nice. Then Leanna from Leanna's Library sent me these really beautiful earrings. They're Lord of the Rings inspired from Hannah Hitchman. She has an Etsy shop. And also from that same Etsy shop is this really cool tote. It's inspired by Ceresia from Madeline Mueller, and it says, "You do not know what I can do." I love Ceresia. It's one of my favorite books, so I love this. It's so cool. Thank you, Leanna. And she also sent some tea, which I have been drinking. Mara from Books Like Woe also sent a really cute tote bag. It says, "Waiting to show a cynical businessman the true meaning of Christmas," inspired by like Hallmark movies, which is super cute. Or maybe a book. I'm like somebody, I think I posted this on my Instagram stories and somebody thought it was a book, but it's just really nice canvas tote bag and very, very cute. And then she also got me a book off my wish list. Appropriately, this is Naked in Death by J.D. Robb, the first book in the In Death series by Nora Roberts. She basically was like, "I'm not sure if you'll like it, but try it and see." So thank you. I'm excited to try it. I have heard really good things about this, and I know Mara really loves them. Then something I was not expecting and so excited to get in the mail. One of my friends and patrons, Isabella from the Feminist Bookworm, is a bookseller, and she very kindly sent me an early copy of Fevered Star by Rebecca Rohnhorst. This is the sequel to Black Sun, one of my most anticipated books of next year, and I'm so excited to read it. So this is coming out in April. I am hoping to do a reread of Black Sun in January so that I can read this in like February or March at the latest to give you guys my early thoughts on it. But thank you so much, Isabella. I'm really, really excited to have this and read it early. That was so exciting and so thoughtful. And then the last gift I was not expecting is from Kara at Wild Book Garden. Thank you, Kara. This is Antigona Gonzalez by Sarah Uribe, which I'm excited for. It's been translated, I think, from Spanish, and she sent a note saying, "Merry Christmas. This book is a brilliant reimagining of Antigone, but it also stands on its own. So well done and constructed in a fascinating way." I had put this on my wish list because I had heard good things about it, maybe from Kara, I'm not sure, but I'm excited to try it. And it doesn't look like it would take that long to read. It's like interesting formatting, and I love the idea of a retelling of Antigone, so thank you, Kara. That was so nice of you. Now I'm going to send you to future Bethany with whatever books she might have received on Christmas. Hello, it's Bethany from the future. Happy Boxing Day. Merry Christmas. I hope you had a wonderful holiday. It's Boxing Day today. I'm all dressed up for our holiday Blades and Bodice Rippers book club live show that's about to happen in like 20 minutes here. But I wanted to share with you the gifts that I got for Christmas from my husband and kids, because I did get some books, and I've got to say, I'm impressed. My kids did pretty good this year with the gifts. So let me show you. One of them is not a book, but worth sharing. My youngest, my 5-year-old, got me a Star Wars puzzle from The Mandalorian. It's beautiful and adorable, and I love it. My 7.5-year-old did a surprisingly great job picking out a book for me. What I did is we went to Barnes & Noble. I took him to the sci-fi fantasy section and I said, "You can get a paperback. If you want to read the backs of the books, you can, and I won't look. Get what you want to get." And we gave them a budget. He got me The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. It's the first book in the Wheel of Time series, which I'm actually happy to have. I've been thinking about eventually going and rereading at least this first book. I know this is never going to be a favorite series of mine, but I did read the first couple books when I was in high school, and I do want to revisit it at some point, especially with the new show coming out. So yeah, this like nice paperback copy. Thank you to my kid. I love it. He was like, "Yeah, it's this cool one with like this peace symbol on the back." And I was like, okay, good, great choice, thank you. And then my husband very kindly got me 3 books off my wish list, all of which look amazing. We have Aleph the Unseen by G. Willow Wilson, which was the winner of the World Fantasy Award for Best Novel, which is pretty awesome. So this sounds really interesting. It's set in a unnamed Middle Eastern security state on the verge of revolution when the hero, a hacker who shields dissidents and outlaws from surveillance, loses his love and gains an enchanted book of the jinn. He also realizes that the government's head of electronic security has a very personal reason for pursuing him. And when dark magic meets information technology, the stakes are raised and Aleph must struggle for life or death, aided by forces seen and unseen. It sounds really interesting. I think one of you guys actually recommended this to me as well, so excited to check it out. He also got me Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra. I have heard some mixed reviews of this, but some really positive ones. This is a novella from Nightfire, which is Tor.com's like thriller and horror imprint. And I don't know a ton about it, but I think it's like a Japanese inspired horror, a gorgeously creepy haunted house tale steeped in Japanese folklore. Yeah, so it sounds great. It looks good. And then lastly, I am really excited about this because I know these books are out of print, so I'm thrilled to have a hardcover. He got me Son of a Trickster by Eden Robinson. This is the first book in a fantasy duology by an Indigenous author that I've heard really great things about. I don't actually know that much about the plot, but I feel like everyone I've seen read these has just loved them. And yeah, I don't know. I think they're fantasy. So it's YA. It follows a 16-year-old burnout in high school who sells weed cookies and has a scary mom who's often wasted and wielding some kind of weapon. He smokes and drinks too much. His mom is a mess and he can't rely on anyone for consistent love and support except for his pit bull, but now she's dead. He's also a kid with an immense capacity for compassion and an impulse to watch over people more than twice his age, and he tries his best to stabilize his family and keep everything afloat. But it's weird the way he sometimes blacks out, and he puzzles over why his maternal grandmother has never liked him, why she says he's the son of a trickster, that he isn't human. Also, ravens have begun to speak to him, even when he's not stoned. You think you know Jared, but you don't. So yeah, it sounds really interesting and I've heard great things. Thank you so much to my family. Happy holidays to everybody. I hope you had a great week and weekend, and I will send you back to Bethany of the past. And we are back. The last thing that I have is my Book of the Month Club box for December. If you guys don't know, I've been subscribed to Book of the Month Club for a long time. I love them. I love what they do. I think it's a really affordable way to get hardcover books if these are the kinds of books that you're looking for. It is $15 a month, including shipping for a new release or sometimes pre-release hardcover. They always have 5 options in different genres, and if you're not interested in any of them, you can skip, which I think is great. I love the skipping feature, and I do use it a few times a year usually. But this month I was excited about one of the books, and I got an add-on. They have a thing where if you've been with them for a year, you get a free birthday book, and you also get to pick any of their Book of the Year finalists. And so I did that, so I have that in this box. My pick from their December books was A History of Wild Places by Shaya Earnshaw. I think this doesn't actually officially come out until January, but I'm really interested in it. Shaya Earnshaw has written YA fantasy before, like witchy YA fantasy, but this is her first adult novel, and it's like a speculative thriller is what I'm getting from it. It sounds really interesting, like a dark fantasy thriller. Travis Wren has an unusual talent for locating missing people. Hired by families as a last resort, he requires only a single object to find the person who has vanished. When he takes on the case of Maggie St. James, a well-known author of dark, macabre children's books, he's led to a place many believe to be only a legend. Known as Pastoral, this reclusive community was founded by like-minded people searching for a simpler way of life. But soon after Travis stumbles upon it, he disappears, just like Maggie St. James. Years later, Theo, a lifelong member of Pastoral, discovers Travis's abandoned truck beyond the border of the community. No one is allowed in or out, not without the risk of bringing a disease, the rot, into Pastoral. So he starts trying to unravel the history of what happened. It sounds really interesting. I'm intrigued, so I picked it up. And then from the finalist options, I picked up Razor Blade Tears by S.A. Cosby. I know Jess Owens read this and really loved it and was raving about it, so I was like, okay, cool, this sounds great. It is another thriller. So it's a black father and a white father, and their mutual son and son-in-law were murdered, and now they're searching for who did it and seeking revenge, and I've heard it's really good. So those were my 2 picks from Book of the Month this month. So there you go. Those are all of the books that have come into my collection in December. A lot of really exciting things. Thank you so much to anybody who sent me things. I really appreciate it. It was so kind and thoughtful, and I hope all of you are having a wonderful holiday season, have enjoyed time with your families, have been able to take care of yourself and have a bit of a break. I know the world is a wild place right now, but I hope you've had very happy holidays. Talk to me in the comments down below. Let me know any of your thoughts or feelings on anything I talked about in this video. And for your question of the day, tell me if there was something exciting, bookish or not, that you got during the holiday season, and if there's something exciting that you want to share, whether you bought it for yourself or somebody else got it for you, like something you're excited about, feel free to leave it in the comments down below. I'd love to hear it. Be excited with you. If you like this video, it helps if you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.